Hello pro strikers, in this video we're going to look at the foundations of Muay Thai defence. By the end of this video you'll have a better understanding of the pros and cons of each method and which techniques may be best suited for you. Blocking is the most basic technique to defend against blows. Blocking involves using the arms to absorb the impact of an opponent's punches or raising the knee to put the shin in the way of an oncoming kick. The pros. It is the easiest way to defend as it involves a lot less reaction time than say evading, and it uses the least amount of energy. When defending against kicks, blocking with the arms can be particularly effective and is the go-to for fighters competing in kickboxing or mixed martial arts. Similarly to blocking punches with the arms, blocking kicks with the arms requires less reaction time. When blocking kicks with the leg, a check, you lift the knee to bring the shin in the way of the kick. This requires a little more reaction time than blocking with the arms, but this is still a basic method of defence as it still doesn't require an awful lot of movement. Blocking with the leg is a great deterrent against kickers as it hurts the kicker to have their kick blocked with the shin, and there is a risk of causing themselves an injury, such as a broken foot. It's a great tactic for pressure fighters, as when blocking, a fighter doesn't give up any ground and it leaves them in a position to be able to counter back effectively. The long guard is a Muay Thai specific style of blocking against punches, and it can be used for a fighter to counter and grab the attacker into a clinch. A lot of Muay Thai stylists, knee fighters, will rely heavily on the long guard for the defence against punches. Cons. The major con to blocking is you're still being hit. The attacker will still be scoring, particularly if blocking with the arms against kicks, and when defending kicks with the arms, there is a risk of an arm break against strong kickers.
He will keep as long as his body allows, but the it's over!
Strong punchers can still break through a double forearms guard, so it isn't necessarily safe to stay there for very long. The Thai long guard has gaps and punches like uppercuts can find their way through.
Back to punches. Oh, and he tagged him!
A great way of defending against punches and kicks is to parry. Pros. Unlike blocking, where the defender absorbs the impact of the strike, the parry involves redirection, meaning that the defender takes little to no damage. When done correctly, it can open up counters. The redirection caused by the parry can leave the attacker to be momentarily off balance after they've thrown, meaning that they're vulnerable to attacks and can have their combinations stifled. The kick parry, when combined with a catch, can set up sweeps and dumps for the defender, which are high scoring techniques in Muay Thai. Cons. If mistimed, it can leave a fighter open. If the attacker feints and gets the reaction, they can use this to set up a variety of attacks. Think of a question mark kick to the head. This comes from a fighter expecting a front kick, bringing their hands away from the head to parry, and then leaving themselves open for the head kick. A lot of Nat Muay will fake front kicks to get such a reaction and set up their counter shots. Footwork. The simple back step can be the most effective way to get out of the way of strikes. This can work against any and all strikes, but becomes more difficult the longer the weapon gets. For example, the step back on its own often isn't enough to avoid a roundhouse kick. Pros. It can keep you completely out of range of strikes and at a safe distance. Fighters can combine back steps with stance switches to avoid strikes. Fighters like Jonathan Haggerty, who will switch stances from orthodox to southpaw to not only get out of the way, but build into their own attacks. Stepping to the side can be a great way to put a fighter out of position, which can leave them susceptible to attack. Cons. Footwork can be very tiring as it requires constant movement. It can be difficult to maintain against good pressure fighters that will constantly walk into range. This is what Muay Thai stylists will weaponize to tire opponents out by forcing them to move continuously to avoid the clinch. A famous example of this strategy was Sanchai against Yodvicha. Sanchai was a Muay Thai style, and he was pitted against the constant forward pressure and clinch of Muay Thai fighter in Yodvicha, ultimately losing a decision to the relentless pressure fighter. Clinching and catches. Clinching involves grabbing hold of an opponent. A catch is exactly that, catching an oncoming strike such as a roundhouse kick or front kick. The clinch can both neutralise their offence and set up attacks like elbows, knees and throws. In kickboxing, clinching is prohibited, so it will be solely used to stifle punches, the same as it will be utilised in Western boxing. Pros. It can really wear a fighter down to force them into a grapple, burning their arms out and making their punches less effective. If a fighter can successfully throw another in Muay Thai, they'll score points. It can slow down the pace of a fight and disrupt a fighter's rhythm, which stops them gaining momentum. Now, a catch can set up a variety of powerful counters. Bukai used to catch front kicks and pull opponents onto power punches, scoring multiple knockout wins. Catches are a great way to set up sweeps, which are high-scoring techniques in Muay Thai. Cons. If the offensive fighter is more proficient in the clinch, and you are using it to simply neutralise, it can have the opposite effect by making you, as the defender, more tired. Catches can leave a fighter open to counters by bringing their hands away from the head. Similarly to parries, this can come from the opponent faking and setting up a strike to capitalise. On the other hand, there have also been instances of fighters knocking an opponent out with punches whilst having their kick caught and on one leg. There is still an element of risk when it comes to catching and parries. Evasion. Now, footwork can be described as an evasive tactic, but in this instance, we'll be talking about lean backs, slips, rolls, and basically any sort of head movement. Pros. Evading a strike is a great way to make a fighter miss and counter them whilst they're off balance. When leaning back from a kick, you are taking no impact. Lurdzilla is probably the most famous Muay Thai fighter for his evasive prowess, making fighters miss body kicks from right in front of him. Head movement can set up counter opportunities and can be a great way to cause an opponent to lose confidence and become demoralised. Fighters like Israel Adesanya in kickboxing was very good at combining footwork and evasion to evade blows and counter effectively.
Lands the right hand again. Referee must be looking closely here.
Cons. Evasion requires a lot of athleticism and reaction time. Not everyone is going to have the required flexibility to lean back from a kick in the same way as Saenchai or Lurdzilla do. Head movement can leave a fighter open to counters, like slipping into a head kick. There have been countless instances of a fighter mistiming a lean back and being caught with a head kick. The best fighters in Muay Thai use a combination of these defences. They don't rely solely on one. They will use the right technique at the right time and adapt and adjust their defence as a bout progresses. For example, a fighter might start with blocks and once they have the timing and understanding of distance, progress to evasive techniques and look to counter. Once again, thank you for watching. I hope you found the video useful and have a better understanding of defence in Muay Thai and striking sports as a whole. To support the channel and access extra breakdowns, you can head over to the Pro Striking Patreon. The link will be in the bio. And there are plenty of other breakdowns and training tips on the channel. Pro Striking out, I'll catch you later.